we basically wanted to build a crypto product, something that uses crypto and blockchains, but that feels completely accessible and usable to someone who's never used crypto before. And my goal was to be able to send Sophon website to someone who's never used crypto before and for them to be able to onboard.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 64 of Colors of Web3 and Entrepreneurship. My name is Lum, your Web3 host. For those of you who are new to the show, Colors of Web3 and Entrepreneurship is a show highlighting the journeys of builders and innovators in Web3 and entrepreneurship. Some topics, especially in Web3, may get technical, but we do our best to keep it accessible for most people. Here today, I'm joined by Sebastien. He's the co-founder and CEO of Sophon. Sebastien, Seb, can you give a quick intro by yourself?
Thanks, Len. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Seb, or Sebastien is my full name. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Sophon. Sophon is a consumer-oriented blockchain. We're here to talk about it today.
Nice, exciting. Yeah. So, of course, we will deep dive into your blockchain and all that, but I'm sure that a lot of the audience would be interested in knowing a bit more about your background. You could share maybe the time, maybe pick a time from whenever you like, maybe from the time when you graduated from university or even before that is fine, and walk us,
Sure.
Up until now.
So we go on and we do a little story time.
Yeah. Would love to. Yes, please.
So I studied in the UK. I studied actually pretty random. I studied history and philosophy.
Oh, cool.
For my bachelor's, and then I did a master's in science and tech, and then I started working in the tech sector right away. Actually, I worked for a small company called Rocket Internet that was basically, mostly people know it in Europe. I don't know if people know it around the world, but in Europe,
I've heard about it before. Another guest might have mentioned it. I forgot. It's like an internet company, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what they did, I mean, they were not super small. They were medium sized, I would say. But what they did is they used to take business models, e-commerce models that worked really well, that were proven, and then recreate them, but hyper localize on a particular market. Some of the like really famous or successful exits that they had was Zalando. So they created Zalando. They created like Delivery Hero, which I think is pretty big in Southeast Asia or in the Gulf, a couple things like this. So I worked there for a bit. Then I went into finance. I worked in a bank for several years where I was responsible for different types of things on the asset management and fund selection side. Towards the end of my tenure there, so around 2019, the bank was really interested in crypto. And I was the one responsible to talk to all of the funds that were investing in the crypto space. So around 2018, 2019, I met most of the crypto asset managers in Europe at the time and some of the ones in the US. There were not that many, by the way. There was a pretty small field. And it became pretty obvious to me, okay, that crypto is a great place to grow in, right? Like the industry was still relatively small. It was considered a risk asset. There was a lot of upside. There was a lot to do. There were not that many rules yet, so it's kind of fun to work in an environment that's growing, right, where you can have your place in shaping it. So just before COVID, I left the bank with the objective of working full time in crypto, and then it was DeFi summer, which was 2020.
Yeah.
Was then pretty interested in joining an ecosystem. I thought that was kind of a great way to learn and a great way to have exposure. So I joined a blockchain called Nervos, where I worked as a head of DeFi for around a year and a half. And then this is around 2022. I started thinking, okay, where do I think crypto is going to go? How do I think it's going to grow? What are the right places to be building? And it was pretty clear to me that I should be in the Ethereum space, right? The blockchain I was working at, Nervos, was not in the Ethereum space. So I started looking at Ethereum again, and Ethereum was starting to scale with layer twos at the time. And there were two ways to scale Ethereum, either using optimistic rollups or ZK rollups. But ZK rollups back then were very mysterious. We did not know what was going to happen with them, how they would work. So I did some research and then I figured, okay, well, ZK seems like something that's really going to help fix Ethereum and just generally a technology that could change the way that people do things online, right? And really bring out the best of crypto. So then I said, okay, I have to figure out who are the most interesting ZK teams to work for. And there was Starkware, there was Polygon, they had bought the Hermes team for their ZK VM. Scroll wasn't really a thing back then. And then there was Matter Labs, the creator of ZKSync. And there was not a lot of information about these things, but I researched it as much as possible, and I came to the conclusion that Matter Labs seems like the most advanced team building a ZK product that will work with the Ethereum virtual machine. So I did my best to start working there, and that worked out. So I joined them in 2022 as head of DeFi as well. Spent around 2 years there. It was an incredible journey, from not having mainnet launch to going to mainnet, launching the mainnet, building up the ecosystem. Yeah, it was a great time. I learned a lot about ZK as well. And then last year, it was the time when we were starting to open source the code base. So you're making the code base available for anybody to go out and use. The same way Optimism does it with the OP stack, right? Like Base is built using the OP stack, Zora is built using the OP stack, and these different kinds of app chains. And I thought, okay, well, I know from our roadmap inside Matter Labs that we're going to do the same thing. And I know that the technology has some really, really interesting advantages, like having native account abstraction baked in, being able to do all these custom paymasters. And then I got to thinking, well, a lot of these big engineering teams that have built something like ZKSync or Optimism or Arbitrum, they're really engineering teams, right? They're focused on building engineering products, but they're not really focused on who the end consumer is and how retail is going to interact with crypto, that sort of thing. Best for them is really to outsource it and have someone use their code base and build this thing, right? And the tech is becoming really good, so it starts to matter a bit less. And it's a little bit like if you're using Netflix or Airbnb, you don't care whether they're using AWS, Google Cloud, or Azure, right?
Yeah, correct.
Nobody says, today I'm going on Netflix, so let me log into my AWS account to use Netflix. Nobody says this, right? You just want to use Netflix. You want to use a consumer product. So I thought, okay, I'm going to leave and I'm going to build using this technology, but I'm going to build completely focused on the end consumer and building not a blockchain, but a platform. Obviously, it's a blockchain, but I don't really want to think of it as a blockchain for the end consumer. I think of it as a platform with a very homogeneous user experience, user interface, heavily focused on design, a company that's driven by product, not by engineering, and kind of reinvent the way that the end consumer can interact with crypto, because I think that's where we're losing a lot of the possible new entrants. And that's how Sophon was born. So Sophon was born about a year ago with this idea. I left Matter Labs to do it. We raised a $10 million seed round in March of last year, which were backed by OKX, Binance, Maven 11, Paper Ventures, and several other funds. And after that, we decided to do a note sale. So we did a big note sale. We raised approximately 21,000 ETH, which is around $65 million at the time. And we started building Sophon. We launched mainnet in December 18th, 2024. So around just about 3 months ago, which was super successful. We launched mainnet with no problems really, with a small but a strong ecosystem. And we've been building our products ever since. Today is March 11th. We've done around 50 million transactions on mainnet, which is absolutely incredible.
Nice.
We have an ecosystem that keeps growing week on week. There's no gas on Sophon. Everything so far has been sponsored by the foundation using a very sophisticated paymaster that we built. Yeah, that's a short history and intro of myself and who Sophon is.
Nice, cool. Yeah, well, thank you. That's quite a lot of history that you walked through there. Just wonder maybe I have some question about some of the previous history as well. Just want to know. So you said you work in internet and then move on to banking, right? And then somehow banking, and then you made your way into crypto.
That's right.
Yeah, that's I think that's quite impressive that some banks was already looking at this in like you said 2018 or 2019. Can't remember the exact date.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So were you actually like were you experimenting with some new blockchain technology at that time in the bank?
So at the time, this was after the kind of the 2017 cycle.
Yeah.
And two things happened, right? Like that part of the cycle happened, when BTC moved up quite a bit. A lot of people at the bank, a lot of clients were calling and saying, hey, I want to have Bitcoin in my account, or I want to have Ethereum in my account. But back then we didn't, there were no products that you could sell.
Correct. Yeah. It was not
And that's
Bitcoin ETF.
no, there wasn't. And that's where 21 Shares started to offer products. At the time, it had a different name. It was called Amun, Amun. And they would offer ETPs, so exchange traded products, not exchange traded funds, with exposure to either single products like Bitcoin ETF, and then some baskets of different products. And so we started looking at this, and 2018, 2019 were pretty good years in the financial sector. So people had the feeling that this wasn't going to last forever. So they wanted to start looking at liquid asset classes that you could diversify from. So basically, I don't want to be in fixed income necessarily, and I don't want to go into like a hedge fund or private equity where I'm going to be locked up. I want something that's very liquid, but that's decorrelated from equity markets. And the idea back then, BTC back then was really sold as like an inflation hedge.
Yeah, interesting.
And crypto was seen as a diversification tool. So that's when the bank is like, okay, well, someone needs to investigate and figure this out. And I put my hand up. I said, hey, I want it to be me. And they said, yeah, sure, you're the young guy. You get this. We don't understand it. And for me, it was fun because I was young, and the bank I was working for was it's a very well-known bank, and it was very prestigious. So I got to go around and say, I'm the crypto guy for the bank.
Nice.
Every single fund wanted to meet with me, so they would actually fly to Switzerland to meet and pitch their products. And some of them ended up doing very well. So one of the teams that I spent time with was Grayscale.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Actually, the CEO of Grayscale at the time, Michael Sonnenschein, had met him a few times, and the team from Amun from 21 Shares also did really, really well. But this was the beginning for them, right? And then there's some other teams who are running like some kind of weird hedge fund strategies, and those guys don't exist anymore. I'm pretty sure they blew up.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
I see. Cool. Wow, that's very progressive bank, I would say, because I think most banks are still very afraid of touching anything with crypto, right, nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. It's takes time.
Cool. And then you said you move on to become head of DeFi at Nervos. I don't think I've heard of Nervos. Was this in Cosmos? What ecosystem was this in?
Actually, it was its own ecosystem. So Nervos was a Chinese-based team. Actually, pretty big investors. So they were backed by Sequoia, a couple other guys. They had fundraised around 2018, 2019, and they had raised a lot of money. I think they had raised like 150 mil or something. I mean,
wow,
it was
that's huge.
Big rounds back then, yeah. And they were, I still think tech-wise, it was a very interesting proposition. They were building a UTXO blockchain. So not the account model, the UTXO model.
Like Bitcoin.
Then, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you could basically build. So they had this whole like proof of work model as well, which was very interesting. And then you could build different kinds of networks on top of this virtual machine, which was the Nervos virtual machine. And so when I was there, we had one called Godwoken, which was fully EVM compatible. And it was the first fully EVM compatible L2 built on a UTXO L1. Yeah, it was an interesting project to work at, for sure.
Interesting. So it was like a general purpose blockchain, but then they also saw like the need to bridge to Ethereum or EVM, right?
Yeah, exactly. The idea was that you were going to have all of these different chains and different types of ecosystems built in the future, but that if, this is the pitch you have a lot of the times, if you have this one overarching layer that kind of connects everything, that has, they were using a RISC-V virtual machine that would connect everything, it would be more efficient, the usual pitch. And they haven't had success so far in achieving that.
I see. Yeah. Was it because of scaling or just not enough traction or maybe something else?
I think the tech was too complicated for them to achieve.
I see. Yeah, I think that also happens. I think some companies sometimes they shoot for like a moonshot, right? And then
big ideas, and then also you can build mean, this is something that happens in general, right? You can build really good tech, but then it's hard. The other part is getting people to use it, building out the ecosystem. That's not so simple, right?
Yeah, no, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard in Web3.
And some people do the other way around. They build out great ecosystems, but the tech sucks. Yeah, so doing both is always like the goal, right? But it can be a challenge as well.
Yeah. I think Web3 marketing, right? Or like Web3, there's a lot of like community building, and there's so many aspects that's different from typical Web2 that you just cannot apply what you've learned from Web2, right? It's not going to apply. Yeah, when it comes to that.
Definitely.
Makes sense. Cool. And then you said afterward where you went to ZKSync, I think the company name Matter Labs, right? That's like the
Matter Labs. Yeah.
That's cool. How was it like?
It was great. I mean, Matter Labs was it was a fantastic school, I would say.
Nice.
Great, a great founding team, very driven in their principles and their mission. I learned a lot about ZK, about how a ZK rollup works, and really deep in the tech, which allowed me to also become a great founder myself. And it was an incredible time. ZK was it was at the time where ZK was the most exciting thing in the whole crypto space. So to be working for one of the most important teams during a time where the topic was super hot was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Were you Matter Lab when I think it's when they launched the Hyperchain, right? What is it, Interop? Is it called Hyperchain or Hypechain? Yeah.
Yeah, they actually rebranded now. It's called Elastic Chain.
Oh, okay.
So Sophon uses the Elastic Chain network.
Okay.
So Sophon is its own L2, right? It's its own blockchain, but it buys into this interoperability network that Matter Labs are building. And I think according to their roadmap, they should be shipping sometime this year in 2025.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. Is it? So is it, I guess it's like interop, right? Or like for all the Elastic chains, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. It's basically the way it works is they're using proof aggregation to be able to verifiably prove that you have assets on two different chains, and being able to move from one chain or another one within the Elastic network seamlessly. So being able to move liquidity, prove liquidity from one place to the other, and then you really have a network that's pretty seamless.
I see. And is it already working at the moment yet, or is it like sometime in the future?
So no. Sometime in the future, it's going to be according that's their roadmap. That's not our roadmap. I see. But we depend on it obviously because we're building using their code base, but their interoperability roadmap, I believe, is scheduled to go live at some point this year.
Nice, cool. Yeah, I mean, I think we both know that. I think interop is a pretty big topic, right, in the Ethereum. So I think even like Ethereum Foundation is now trying to lead like an interop initiative. I think last time I checked, right? Yeah, so it's pretty big because we know that as the more number of chains increases and fragmentation will come, right? So like something that kind of what's the word here? Like help to interoperate all the chains together, right? Suddenly, is a pretty big deal.
Help to have some seamless interop.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Nice. Well, thanks for sharing the background. I think it's very clear now. Just one fun question before we deep dive in the company. Can you share with us what you do for fun in your free time?
Lately, I've been playing golf.
Golf?
I wanted to learn. I've always loved doing sports. So I don't have a lot of free time at the moment, but generally I go to the gym a few times a week, and the gym is super fun, right? It's fun to progress in the gym, but I wanted to do something new that like is something that I could learn. And I've played most sports.
Okay.
And I'm pretty good at sports in general. When you've played a lot of sports as a kid, you start a new sport, you just kind of get it quite quickly. So I tried everything, but I'd never tried golf before. And I thought, okay, like this could be a nice new challenge and something that I know absolutely nothing about, but that I can learn. So I started taking golf classes a couple months ago, and it's been fun.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you enjoy like is it the pace of golf, or I don't know what aspect of golf do you enjoy?
There's two things I would say. I like golf is the only sport with a ball where when you hit the ball's not moving. And so everything is about one movement. Yeah. And the movement in golf is always the same, right? Like the club is different, whether you're going long or short, but it's always the same movement. And so I think it's pretty interesting that whole sport is based around one particular move. And every tiny detail that you change changes the way you play. And then you're outside, so it's kind of like if you're with your friends and you're on a golf course, you're in nature, it's beautiful, you're walking, you're enjoying yourself. It's a nice activity to do. It's nice to be outside.
Interesting. Yeah, nice. Yeah, good to hear. Yeah, I think I've only tried golf like maybe 3 times in my life, and I think it was really hard for me to hit the ball. I think that was my main
It's
challenge.
practice, right? Of course.
Yeah. I don't know how long it took you to hit the ball, but I think like my first time I only tried for like an hour, maybe hit it like twice and barely moved.
Yeah, it takes time.
It's pretty hard for me. Anyway, well, I'm glad you like it. Cool. And yes, without further ado, let's go ahead and deep dive into the company that you're building, Sophon. Feel free to share any presentation or website that you have about the company, and then maybe walk us a bit through the history as well. I think you did share a bit about history, right? Fundraising.
Yeah. Sure. Let's do let's try doing a screen share here.
Sure.
So this is just the landing page for Sophon, but as you can see, it's beautiful. It's very light. It's very inviting, and that was the goal when we started building Sophon. We basically wanted to build a crypto product, something that uses crypto and blockchains, but that feels completely accessible and usable to the end user, right? To someone who's never used crypto before. And my goal was to be able to send Sophon website to someone who's never used crypto before and for them to be able to onboard. So we have this very focused mission. And the way we think about it is, having the internet's potential. So kind of taking the principles we have from Web2 and combining it with crypto, but in a way that looks and feels like all the products that people already use, right? So you can use your Google, your Apple Passkey, anything to join, to log in. We focus on what really matters. So you don't have different fees, no interruptions. Everything is customized and built around having an incredible experience. We're building the Sophon Home, which is this idea of having a one-stop shop that users can log into with their Sophon accounts and discover things. Obviously, we use ZK, which I told you guys about. You tap into the Elastic chain. Very important for us that we basically curate everything we work for. So we're not one of these chains where we want, hundreds of random small projects launching and we're not able to support them. We want to know who all the products are that we work with and be able to give something to the users that actually is of very high quality, right? And that kind of comes down to like things like next generation gaming, different things in the ticketing side or social side, culture and live events, some very innovative markets and prediction markets, ways for people to speculate that's interesting, and a lot more. And then obviously the node sale was a very successful exercise that we did, and it's an integral part of how Sophon interacts with its community. It's important that Sophon belongs to its communities. All these folks who bought nodes, we call these guardian memberships. They can operate or delegate these nodes to secure the network, help decentralize it when the consensus allows us to do that. They can provide security for our data availability layer, which is the veil. So all sorts of things to do there. And yeah, that's just a quick overview of what it looks like.
Yeah, I think the website is pretty seamless and very clean looking. I think pretty welcoming,
definitely.
Right? Yeah. So what types? I mean, I've had a lot of guests on my podcast, obviously, and there's also a lot of guests that talk about how we onboard like billion people into Web3, right? I think right now we only have, if I remember correctly, maybe like half of that number already people on chain, right? But yeah, we do need. So what type of feature does your blockchain or platform? I think you prefer the word platform. Yeah, does your platform support to enable people who I would say like know zero about blockchain to come on?
Yeah. So the idea for us is that there's two different things that are happening. Number one is we're building products internally that we use to onboard users, and that's the Sophon account. So we don't really want to think or talk about this concept of wallets anymore, right? Because wallets are like all sorts. It's alphanumerical. It's confusing. It's, you can't remember it by heart. But the concept of an account is much more familiar to end consumers, right? And being able to log into something with your pass key, with your Google account for account recovery, account abstraction makes all of this possible. So we want users to start interacting with Sophon right away using the Sophon account and the account creation. And then once that happens, then they can log into the Sophon Home. And the Sophon Home is this sort of like operating system that the account logs into. And that's where everything begins. That's how the discovery happens for different projects building on Sophon. That's how you would track your different kinds of rewards or loyalty that you receive from participating or doing different types of things within the Sophon network. There's the Sophon Data Hub. So the Sophon Data Hub is leveraging different kinds of consumer behaviors that are happening in the Web2 space using something called zkTLS. We can talk about this after. So it's meant to link up everything together. Those are the internal products. And all of them look and feel like the same product, right? So if you think about the success of Facebook, you had one account, one user experience. Everything looked and felt the same. It was one place to go, but you could do many different types of things. You could sell your bicycle. You could talk to your friends, plan an event. You could play Farmville, play these games.
Yeah.
Everything was happening in one platform, right? Now it's brilliant. And we want the same thing to look and feel like this for crypto as well. And then the second part is the external partners that we work with. So we want to work with very high quality partners that are building consumer focused applications that are going to help get these new users on chain. And one of the big go to market strategies that we have is to work with companies that have existing user bases, that have existing product market fit, and help them modernize their business by bringing it on chain, right? By bringing crypto into the back end, into the business logic of what they're building, whether it's for loyalty, whether it's for rewards, social recognition, social verification or validation, all sorts of things.
Cool. Yeah. That's quite a lot of things. I mean, I know that building an ecosystem is pretty tough, and actually, I have many questions related to your blockchain that I want I'm curious about. One is like, is your team currently running all the infrastructure by yourself?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So it sounds like you have a lot of infra talents as well, right? Because I know,
definitely.
because I know managing a blockchain is tough, and usually, as far as I know, there's a concept. I don't think many of my viewers would know, but like roll up a service provider. I'm sure you know, but where they would manage and run like kind of like a managed service for AWS, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similar to that. Yeah. What? And then you said that so you chose I think you go Elastic Chain, right? Which is like part of the ZK. Cool.
That's right.
So then for Sophon Home, is it? I guess it would be similar to like a portal, like user portal, right?
Yeah.
In a way,
exactly.
You go in.
You can think of it like that.
Cool.
You want to have one place that users can go and tap into and discover everything that's happening on the network. And it also feels very comforting for the user, right? If you have this one place where the user experience has been designed for you, where everything is homogeneous. I think a lot of new people, they're maybe not coming on chain because you're getting sent left and right otherwise. And it can feel like you might get scammed, like you might get rugged, you're on the wrong place. And that just puts people off. And if then they just stop using the application because they don't enjoy the experience, then you've lost them, right? So for us, we're trying to solve that as well.
I see. Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of these like what is it? The Web3 UX or UI UX experience that's quite cumbersome for people who come from Web2 to get used to. Yeah, need to overcome that. Cool. And then you said earlier there's like Sophon Data Hub. What's the purpose of that? Is it using like zkTLS?
So the Sophon Data Hub is it's super cool. It's an innovation that we came up with and that I'm really, really proud of. We basically use a technology called zkTLS. And zkTLS, what it does is it allows for having web proofs from any kind of Web2 application and prove it verifiably on chain. So essentially, we can take your data from any consumer application that you have on your mobile phone your Ticketmaster account, your Uber account, your Spotify, Instagram, your chess.com account, Clash of Clans account, anything really. We can take, you can log in or kind of like share access to the data. You can think of this like cookies in a way when you visit a web page, and you can prove this on chain. And you can do it in a way that preserves your identity. So you're not really sharing your final identity, just like the behaviors that you have. And I think that's a fantastic way to onboard net new users, right? Because you're taking existing consumer behavior that they have. Everybody has a game that they play regularly on their phone, or maybe a consumer application that they're using on a day-to-day or weekly basis. And you're just telling people, well, share this extra data with the Sophon account that you have. Do nothing else. But in the back end, when we aggregate all of this data, all of these users, we basically created an incredible data hub on chain. This does not exist in the crypto space. It's completely revolutionary and it's incredibly powerful. And that means that projects will want to tap into this, right? They will want to pay to have access to this data. And so the users actually start to monetize some of this data that they're sharing on chain, right? They can be getting regular rewards, regular loyalty perks, I mean, all sorts of things. And I think that's going to be one of the hooks that we really leverage to get net new people on chain, right? You get to monetize your data and be sovereign about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because obviously, I mean, before Web3 was born, there's Web2, and there's a lot of Web2 application that we all use, and
but all of that data that you use in the Web2 space, it's free because because it's being sold, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the difference.
But now, user can own it. Yeah, which is like, there's a couple of the Web3 books that I think talk about. I think there's the most recent one that I read was like Read, Write, Own, right? I'm not sure if you've seen or heard about it. Yeah, it's basically Web 1, Web 2, or 3. Yeah, it's a great book. Yeah, I think so. Cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's a great innovation. And if I remember correctly, the zkTLS, I think I've heard it before. This is like an open source thing from Ethereum Foundation, right?
I mean, it's just a piece of technology that anybody can use, right? It's just about how you decide to use it, really.
For sure. Yeah, no, I think that's a very innovative way that
yeah, it's very exciting. Well. And it's new, nobody's done this in crypto before. It's entirely new, so that's it's very exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Can you since you said your platform or blockchain has been live on mainnet for 3 months now, right? Can you
just about
can you share with us some of the application that's already live?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a ton of games. So if we go on the Sophon website again.
Yeah, maybe share with us your favorite one.
Yeah, I'll share here. Go and explore. Let's look at gaming, for instance. This is a game. Well, there's different games here. I think Pioneers of the New World is fun if you've ever played something. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I see the Sophon website though. Not seeing. Are you sharing a game? I'm seeing the Sophon website right now.
Here.
Yeah. Okay. Now I see this one. Yep.
Sorry. Now we're in the ecosystem, right? You can see this. So, Pioneers of a New World, for instance, it's a great way to play Catan on chain. Here we go. This game is super, super fun. I love this house-made Sophon game that we did. Check this one out.
The game doesn't have a name. It's like parentheses and plus.
Exactly.
Is that right? Okay. Looks cool. Okay, so like you shoot you shoot a bazooka.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can slam the guy down.
Okay.
And you're collecting different kinds of points.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, nice. People did a lot of like viral marketing with this. It's pretty fun.
I see. Can you change what is on the screen as well, as in like the floating thing? Okay.
Rivalry went live. Actually, it's going live this week. That's like, that's super, super exciting. On the AI side, there's Codex. So this is going to be this huge swarm of social AI agents, which I'm very excited about. And then on the events side, there'll be Open. Open is a great project that's basically the home of onchain ticketing.
Nice.
Super, super, super exciting. These guys, they just signed a contract to do 20 million tickets on chain this year.
Nice.
That's 20 million transactions which happen on Sophon. I mean, it's incredible, really.
Yeah,
Super exciting.
Yeah. So is it like, would it be used like an NFT in a way or something for ticketing?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
With loyalty, rewards, all sorts of things.
Nice, cool.
Yeah. So that's just like a quick overview of a couple things that we find exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Actually, I like that game that you shared earlier. Was a flying? Actually, there's no name of that game. It's just like,
yeah, there's no name. We just made it like this for
parentheses
fun.
plus. It's like a very weird name. Anyway, I'll give that a try later. It looks pretty fun. That's pretty exciting. Cool. 3 months. So, would you say that, I know that now, I mean, there's also, would you say yours is considered somewhat like a general purpose blockchain, right? I would say, because like onboarding a lot of normal user and then,
Yes and no. I think it's a blockchain that has more of a purpose than, it's not just general purpose, right? Something that's general purpose is going to be like ZKSync Era or Optimism or Arbitrum. Or we're trying to build a real product here, something that has a soul, that has a mission for who its users are, and tries just to target people directly, right?
yeah, makes sense. Cool. So what would you consider to be like the main competitors? I mean, or similar blockchain, or blockchain that doing similar thing?
Yeah, I think if you're building things for the end consumer, definitely Base, I
Base,
would
yeah,
say
for sure.
is in the same direction as us.
Okay.
And I think I would also say Solana, right? I mean, Solana have definitely had a consumer onboarding moment the last 12 months, and
Yeah.
it's definitely a leader in the space.
Yeah, for sure. I told you I mentioned another chain. There's a chain I think now they claim to be like the consumer oriented abstract. You probably heard about it, abstract. Yeah. What
Of
is your take
course.
on abstract?
I think Abstract are doing a great job. They're also building. They're building next to us. Basically, we're neighbors.
I see.
They're
Really?
also using. They're also using the ZK Elastic chain.
Okay, so same technology, yeah,
Yeah,
powered.
exactly. And they're also focused on the consumer. Their product is more focused around streaming,
Okay.
which actually is a great idea, right? Because consumers love to stream. And they've been doing a great job so far.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, when I check out the portal, I mean, probably a couple weeks back, looks pretty slick actually. Yeah, kind of like yours, I would say.
Definitely very, very, very slick.
Yeah, but would you say that yours is more customized? Did you customize a lot of the feature, or it sounds like you customize a lot of the tech stack, right? Or is it like
a lot of it has been customized and used to leverage the ZK stack. And a lot of the internal products that we have, like the Sophon account, the Sophon Home, the Sophon Data Hub, everything, all of this is going to market in the next couple months. So progressively. And these are all custom built internal.
Okay, cool. Just curious, can you also share with us what are some of the challenges facing your team?
Challenges. I think the hardest thing, but this is for any blockchain or any crypto founder, is figuring out how to explain what you're building to mass market, but also explain it to a crypto native audience and keeping their attention for long enough that they come and try out the incredible products that you built, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's a pretty common. Yeah, it's like see how to explain crypto tech to normies, right? People who don't know much about Web3 is pretty tough.
Exactly. So there's a lot of energy and a lot of empathy put towards explaining these things in a way that makes sense to people.
Yeah, for sure. All right, just two more questions here before we wrap up. Actually, want to know. I mean, since this is my show is about Web3 and entrepreneurship, and I think taking or you for sure you're taking risk here, right? Beginning setting a new company, building new blockchain. So can you share with us some of the advice for people who want to build their own Web3 company?
Definitely, your network should be good. I think a lot of people try to build stuff in crypto but don't have any network, whether it's from your investors or people in space who can help get the word out, that sort of thing. I think that's very important to have, right? And people who have no network end up not making it, basically. So that's why I put a lot of effort and energy into building up, a really solid network and a really solid presence over the last couple of years. I definitely think that's one piece of advice. And you definitely need to be very crypto native, understand your audience well. Some people, they're coming from the outside, they just want to use crypto as a tool, but they don't really understand how it works or how the technology works or the different kinds of users that you're after. And I think being very honest with yourself about this is going to make a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. I think we both know that. I mean, crypto Web3 is a pretty small world, right? So yeah, having solid network certainly helps, and a lot of the crypto terminology and tech is pretty tough. But yeah, how to break it down to normies or to regular people will be certainly helpful. Cool. And final question: where can people follow you or your company? Feel free to share any handles.
Yeah, so Sophon.xyz for the website, and you can follow me on Twitter. My name is 0x Sebastien A, and you can probably like tag that in the video.
Cool. Yeah, make sure to put that in the show notes as well, and then tag in the
Nice.
video here as well. Sebastien, once again, it's been a real pleasure having you here and learning about Sophon, what you guys are building. Wish you the best of luck going forward. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
And we're back to my studio. Web3 has evolved a lot in the last couple of years. I think Sebastien and his team at Sophon have shown us that Web2 friendly dApps and experience can truly be created. What do you think? What do you guys think about Sophon? Is it the next consumer blockchain? Let us know in your comments below. For the next episode, we'll be taking a break from the Web3 world to talk to Joshua Wowoyemi, CEO and co-founder of Modastera. Modastera is a platform for medical AI development. They provide a flexible no-code to full-code platform designed to empower both beginners and experts in creating medical AI models. With built-in regulatory compliance and tailored features, Modastera bridges the gap between AI innovation and real-world healthcare application. If you enjoyed this episode, please give a like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to us. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.